everyone. Sorry, we are having some technical difficulties. Kari Anderson had to come on Friday of last week because she is having a burn today. And what that is, her first cottage, which is an indoor county, the fire department is burning it down. And she just got notified of this. So she couldn't come today. So she was here on Friday. And so I have the class, the first 30 minutes of class, we're going to be watching our time together, which would have been the same. And then I'm going to show you some other things with that we have planned for you. Hi, this is Egg Harbor Library, and we're learning to watercolor today. And we needed some help because, hey, I am not a watercolor artist, and I looked at it and I have heard that watercolor art is the hardest of all the painting. And we'll get Kari Anderson's opinion on that in a few minutes, but Kari Anderson is here with us today. She's a Door County artist and well known in our county, and she has some lovely things to show today, and she's going to talk about watercolors, and then we're going to ask her to give us a little demo to help us with this project that I will show you in a minute. So, hello, Kari Anderson.
Thank you for inviting me. My address is actually Egg Harbor, but I really live in Jacksonport, which doesn't have a post office or a library.
So you can have us.
So,
Yeah.
glad to come.
Yeah, so could you tell us how you started watercolor? Have you always done this, or is this something new for you? Or, I mean, well, it's not new for you, but.
I was very fortunate to have a high school art teacher who was an amazing watercolorist. And he was a big influence to me. I grew up in the Madison area, even though I was born in Iowa. I grew up in the Madison area, and my mother is a very creative person, Kari Anderson, and she always let us kids make huge projects and create huge messes, and I'm lucky that I was allowed to do that. But I just fell in love with watercolor at about age 16, and now I'm halfway to, I'm in my 60s, so I've been at it for a long time. And
You want to get back, you,
so I fell in love with watercolor when I was about 16.
okay,
And then my degrees in commercial art from the tech school in Madison,
okay.
where I learned a lot of things about printing and advertising and how to get things put into production. And I'm lucky to have that under my belt.
Yeah, because you have cards.
I have a lot of cards. I probably have 30 at least designs in cards. And one of my hot spots for cards is right here in Egg Harbor at the grocery store.
Okay, at Main Street Market.
Yep.
Yes.
So they've got a nice display of my cards, and it's important for me to have my artwork available in a price range that's available to all people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, so many people would like to have some art that's
Yeah.
nice, and they can't afford it, myself included.
Yeah, I know, art is expensive.
But
yeah.
my watercolors are kind of available from note cards all the way to larger originals, and I like having that range.
And I'm going to be showing you her website later, but on the website it's really nice. It shows the cards, it shows original pieces, and it has all of Kari's contact information on there. So I'm going to let Kari show you some of her pieces now, and
This will be fun to show and tell. I brought in a lot of raw paintings that are not matted or framed yet. The paper that I use is Arches watercolor paper, and this is what it is right here, if you want to close up on that. If you want to get into watercolor, having some decent paper is really a helpful thing. If you are fighting your paper, it's hard enough to do it without fighting your paper. So,
And where do you pick that up usually?
Here in Door County, the Artist Guild sells watercolor paper, and it's available online too.
Okay.
So I'm going to be giving on the Creative Bug. They recommend arches too. Have you heard of Creative Bug?
No.
It's,
I don't.
so the library owns a program that has art classes.
Mhm.
It's called Creative Bug, which is the worst name, I think. But they talk about watercolors and they talk about the supply list and they say arches. So I'll make sure
It's
that.
not just me.
No, I'll make sure. And then I think they said water something stone or something, I don't know, for the paints. They have a recommended products to buy.
Okay.
So Arches is one that it sounds familiar, and
Yeah.
yes, it was on their list. Okay, so
So, let me just flip you through some of these. This is wet on wet treatment, where you wet the paper first. I usually paint from the back towards myself, so from far away to closer and closer. And this is a little bit of mixed media, where I took a rubber stamp in watercolor and did these little leaves as kind of a impressionistic texture. Toothbrush splattering right in here. We're talking about the seed catalog that you're starting, and I like to paint with the seasons, where, you know, in the summer I like to paint flowers. This is very wet on wet. These brilliant colors are from a paint called QOR paint. Those three letters, QOR.
QOR.
And those are tube watercolor, which I would highly recommend. They're really bright colors and fun colors.
So paper and colors are important.
Yeah, they are.
How about brushes?
I like to use synthetic brushes. They're a lot more economical. I have about 20 or 30 brushes, but to tell you the truth, I have like 3 favorites, and I have a 1-inch wide and a rigger, which is like a liner.
Okay.
And then I have like a round number 8 or number 10. And this little texture in here is salt that's sprinkled into the wet wash. And so is this. This is all wet on wet. This line was kept by taking a masking tape and laying it across to hold that straight line. This is a lot of wet into wet. This one I like a lot.
This looks like on your cards.
That one's actually on the site.
Yeah.
This is called Big Barn, Little Barn. And I have a lady who's looking at this and she wants me to add a gnome to it, which I'm considering. I'm not quite sure yet.
I know everyone's been doing these gnomes out of furs for decorations.
Oh,
They
yeah.
have them at the ridges.
I've seen those too.
Yeah,
They're sweet.
yeah.
This is an interesting one. This is also on the website. This is sewn with a sewing machine. And this is embossed with the Cuttlebug embossing tool.
Oh, we have the big shot.
And it's like the big
Yeah.
shot. So and here's the arches. So, and this is kind of collaged in with some very fine Japanese paper. And then you can see the embossing here. So the closer that you look at it, the more there is going on. And if somebody framed this, I would probably recommend showing these edges I used to hate, I used to be leery of showing my art before it was matted or framed. But I'm not anymore because so many people want very specific things in their matting and framing that no matter what my perfect idea is, they don't want it. It's very frustrating. So it's just a lot easier to not put the investment into matting and framing and just show things as raw. And
Well, and I think that watercolor is so raw. You know, I feel like it's a very raw. I don't know.
It is. I mean, it can be.
Mhm.
This one I'm not too sure about. Okay, so when I'm not too sure about them, you're gonna love this in a minute. I always have a whole bunch. It's trial and error, to tell you the truth. Sometimes you're lucky and sometimes you're not. Or sometimes you're just not done with them right away and you have to go back.
Because it has to dry.
It has to dry. And you know, I used to get so mad when I had the kids and I couldn't finish. I'd be right in the middle of something and the phone would ring or... But guess what? That's life. And I learned how to paint more in steps. And it was good because then it would dry in between. And these I actually did on location. We were camping, I think. It's fun to paint outside, although the mosquitoes get you and
Mhm.
you know, it's not easy sometimes. The dog tips over your water and et cetera, et cetera.
So you don't do plein air then? The different, I know they do plein air and Fish Creek.
Yeah.
With the,
You know, I do it a little bit, but I don't like the competition aspect of it.
yeah. How'd you make that circle? Did you have like a quarter on top?
I do cheat a little and take a template and draw the perfect circle.
Yeah.
And then I just you can either use a resist and mask that out so you can paint over, or you can keep that dry and everything else wet and carefully do it. And if it stays round, you're lucky. But you know, a moon is only full one day out of a month.
That's right.
And there could be clouds going in front of it or
Yeah.
all kinds of things. This is heavier paper. This is 300-pound paper.
Mhm.
And it's different. It's got a tougher surface. You have to really kind of work it harder. But it's fun to work with. It's more expensive, so it's always kind of a splurge. Okay, so these will be fun to look at. I want to go back to this one just for a minute. This is the Jorn Sugarbush farm.
Oh, okay.
Not too far from here, out on T. The maple syrup part is over here, but the home farm is here. And I was always kind of torn, like, do I like the whole thing or do I maybe just like that much? So I'm always...
I don't know. I like the fence.
I like it all.
So I signed it down here. Anyway, I always feel like, well, if the whole painting doesn't work, maybe just part of it works. Which leads me to this. These are paintings that I struggled with for one reason or another. Or they're older and I get into this little chop mode of gotta do something with them. So they just turned into all these little like abstract things. And where they're going next, I do not know. But that's part of the fun of it for me. And you know, maybe this needs more, or a next step, or maybe it needs a punch of a
From your big shot.
from your big shot,
Yeah.
or a rubber stamp, or who knows what. But my only rule on this is it has to fit into my standard envelope. So it could eventually be sold, so I could buy more paper. So that's kind of how my, even if you have paintings that don't really go the way you wish they would go, which does happen a lot, even to me. Should I show some of my...
Sure. Okay, I've started. All right, you want to show some of the cards you can probably get at Main Street?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. These are on my website, and they're also at Main Street. But there are... This one is called Close to Me. They're poppies, and this Close to Me is... The seeds came from my Grandma Dorothy, and my husband thinks they're weeds, but they self-seed, and I have these red poppies that pop up all the time. This one is called Deep Purple. Itis. When I was in high school, I loved that band, Deep Purple. Close to the Wind, this is very Egg Harbor.
Yeah.
And this one has a Robert Frost poem on it, Nothing Gold Can Stay. I'll read it real quick, it's not very long. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down today, nothing gold can stay.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And so I love Robert Frost poetry, and I just thought that fit. And then these are a present for you, Janine.
Oh.
These are, I made these cards of people, and they printed out in this like accordion shape.
Yeah.
And it was too weird. People didn't buy them. So I cut them into these little pieces, which once again do fit into envelopes. But they all have little, this is when I was going through my people stage of watercolor. We're making ice now. That's bundle up, baby, it's cold out there. Bring in some firewood. Most of them don't have faces, which I kind of like. No school day, no school, snow day. So forth and so on. So, even if some of my cards are duds, I figure out some way to force recycling onto them.
Well, we had Huga bags we gave out, and in them we had stationery for people.
Yeah.
But you always need stationery, and it's nice to have a card.
Yeah.
I cards are nice to have.
Yeah.
I've made some homemade ones that I like to, and people seem to like the homemade ones better than.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, can I show you our project that we need to make?
I'd love to look at it, yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna, so we have the seed catalog, seed library that we are going to be making. And this is a cabinet. And we took off the hardware, and we received some pictures here's some of these pictures to put on the front. So I got this idea that we would get our patrons to help us out by doing some watercolor. So after listening to Kari, and I'm going to also recommend a Creative Bug video to watch, we would love for you to try out watercolors. We would like you to come to the library, and we'll get you set up with some brushes, some watercolors, and some pictures to try out. So, Kari, do you want to come over and give us a little example of how you would do the radishes? So,
I think this would just be a great way to get your feet wet. Watercolor.
and we have lots of different, and again, what was the name of the watercolors that you recommend?
Well, there's lots of paints out there on the market, but the one that I really like is QOR.
QOR. So we've now said that a couple of times.
Yeah. One great thing about watercolor is that you can let it get dried out and get hard, and it'll come right back to life when you re-wet it. I never use white. And
I heard what? Yeah.
Ever use black.
So I've heard that from other artists, watercolor artists. They never use white and black.
Because the white in watercolor is supposed to be the whiteness of your paper.
Ah.
And the black just makes everything get muddy and dirty. So it's easy enough to get mud without black, so let's just not even go there. Oh, these are always fun to open. Let me think. I might need a pokey thing.
Okay, how about a scissor? Would that work?
Yeah. A sizz.
So we have all kinds of supplies here for you if you want to help us out decorating our seed catalog. We have 2 sheets, one that's a really nice piece of watercolor paper, and the other one is a bit thinner. We were looking for something that would go through our copier, and let's say it was kind of hard.
So I'm just pre-wetting, and then I'll try these colors, which are new to me. So you can go in dry or you can go in wet. I don't know what this is, a different kind of a radish.
I know.
A horseradish, maybe. Those are whitish, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to make that white, then let's do the background and leave that white. So there you're leaving white. That's the whole trick of watercolor. Instead of using white paint, you leave the white. And I mean, I know I'm kind of rushing through this. I don't have these colors laid out. But you could sprinkle some salt in there and get some texture. You could.
I'm going to try that on mine, a little salt.
Do a little.
Yeah.
A little bit of color. If you have red and you want pink, just add more water. That's pretty simple. Let's take a more fun color like fuchsia. Fluorescent peach red.
Ooh.
This is everyone. One of my favorite colors is called opera. Ooh.
Ooh.
These would be fun for all kinds of flowery stuff.
Yeah. And we do have some flowers. You get to choose your project. We have seeds and squash and wildflowers and all kinds of fun.
I don't care if I go outside the lines. In fact, I like it better if it is outside the lines. That's sort of...
I like that too.
I don't like being in the lines.
No. I learned something today. I always get mad at my grandkids because they make huge art messes. But I'm not going to get mad at them anymore. Because you did that.
You know what? They always have to have a mess.
Yeah.
And then I guess my mother's rule was, well, we have to have dinner eventually, so you're gonna clean this table off at 5 o'clock or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, the mess couldn't continue for days and days and days.
I have a children's book artist I know from Milwaukee. Her name is Lois Ehlert.
Yeah.
And her mom gave her a card table. She was from Beaver Dam. And she was allowed to just, her mess stayed on the card table. It was her card table.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. I tried that with,
I get really kind of upset when I know that parents won't allow their kid to do a messy project, because it's natural. And
yeah.
I want to show you my Hollyhocks, because I just love doing Hollyhocks. Let's get some plain paper. Okay, let's do circle, circle, circle. See, I don't even draw here, I just wing it.
And she's just wetting her paper with circles.
Little wet puddles. Now we'll take the other end of the brush and we'll do some drawing with that.
So she's not even using a brush, she's just using that tip.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's really fun. And who cares if it doesn't look like a real flower? That's okay. It's, if you want it to look like a real flower, then you should get a camera,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and you know, these would make fun cards to give to people.
Wouldn't they?
You know, get well cards and birthday cards. Yeah.
You know, if it touches, it'll fuzz. If it, like there. And if it doesn't touch, it'll stay apart. Hollyhocks always have these little seeds that go up, up. So I mean, I didn't even pencil this in. I guess I've done these a bunch of times, so
Yeah.
I have that under my belt. Here's something that I love to do, this little splattery thing.
Huh.
Just kind of loosens it up.
And she was saying earlier she uses a toothbrush
Yeah.
to make little splattery things too.
My mother said I perfected that at a very young age on the bathroom mirror. With my toothbrush. See, now wouldn't that be fun to just send somebody a
Yeah.
little get well? Get well.
Wonderful. Oh, that's beautiful.
Anyway, you can start with just easy, fun stuff. It doesn't have to be that hard.
And we're sending, when you come here, we're sending you home with the same picture, two of the same. They're just two different kinds of paper, and one is a heavier weight. So yeah, so
You can get into this for a really pretty low budget, and the more you spend, the nicer the paint is, the better color it is.
Yeah.
But you don't have to spend a fortune to begin with. Start at the lower end, and if you like it, work your way up.
Yeah, I think our watercolors, I purchased 2 sets, and they're around $20 for the
Yeah.
set, and so I didn't really invest too much, just for you all to give it a try. So
And you can use lots of different things like a Tupperware plate or anything white. Why white? Because your paper's white, so you want this to be white.
Okay,
But,
that's good. You've given us a lot of good advice. Kari Anderson, thank you so much for coming to Egg Harbor's library and showing us watercolors. And I think when we finish our seed library, I'll send a picture so you get to see that. Thank you so much.
you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, everyone, I'm back. That was really informative having Kari Anderson here, and I really feel bad that we couldn't have her live today, but she's a great person. Jess and I were just talking, wouldn't it be fun to have her come here for classes? You know, wouldn't that be fun? So maybe next summer or
Yeah,
this
maybe
summer.
this summer we could
Yeah.
have some distance classes in the Great Hall.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I think just doing, getting started with what she talked about is a great way. I'm going to show you two websites now. I'm going to show you Kari Anderson's website, and then I'm going to show you the Creative Bug, because I mean, I've been doing, just after seeing Kari Anderson and the class, I was able to paint a few. I mean, they're not like anything special. I'll show you what I did, but let me show you her websites, and I'm going to share the screen now. Hopefully that guy doesn't come on. Okay. And so Kari is at Kari Anderson Watercolor. I'm just gonna, there she is. So her web address is KariAndersonWatercolors.com. And you can get her cards at Main Street Market. And Jess saw her work at, where was her work at, Jess?
At Traders on 3rd in Sturgeon Bay. She's got a booth up on the 2nd floor on the street side of the building. So there's more work from her there.
So if you're interested in doing watercolor, take a look at her website, and it's really, she's got a lot to show on her website. Her cards, which are for sale, as what we just said, but she has just different series of cards. I love these Door County favorite places. I mean, I think having stationery is a nice thing. So here's pictures of Door County. And again, you can get ideas for maybe one you would like to make. Maybe you want to do a lighthouse. Just take a look at hers and get some ideas. So her website is full of her art. And so, you know, spend some time here. And again, our work isn't going to be like this. I was glad to learn about the different techniques for backgrounds, because now I understand it. You know, salt does a lot. And this Creative Bug I'm going to show you, they talk about, you know, using a cotton ball and rubbing some off, or, you know, just doing just simple little things.
Well, and didn't she use the back end of her brush
Yes,
too?
she used, instead of the brush, she uses the back end to draw lines, which I was like, whoa. And they were really nice lines too. I mean, when you paint a line, it's pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
So let me jump over to the Door County Library's website. Oh, it was open already.
Oh, whatever.
Oh, here it is again. Okay, so when you get to the Door County Library's website, go to Downloadable Library. And when you're at the Downloadable Library, Creative Bug is right here, and there's 1,000 award-winning arts and craft videos. So I'm going to click on Creative Bug. And what you have to do is put your library card in. So I'm going to put my library card in. Of course, I have it memorized. No, kidding. Everyone's pin is their birthday unless you changed it. Your birthday is two numbers for your month, 2 numbers for your day of birth, and your year of birth, just the last 2 numbers. And then if I did that right, it will log me in. Success. Ooh. So that's not right. I'm going to try it again. We had this all set, and for some reason we lost everything, just kind of shut down just before I went on there. So let's see. That is not supposed to look like that. That's why I'm going back in. Try it one more time. You're not cooperating here. Log in now. All right. But that's never logged in with my email. This is a little bit of a pain here. All right. Because it's your library card, not your. So why? Can I switch my browser?
Maybe.
Will I
You're
still?
gonna need to do a new share.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna sorry about that. Oh, someone's trying to say something. Let's make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, let's.
And that's a good tip too, that a lot of times when you're going on to the Door County Library page or other pages, if you're running into issues, it's good to maybe jump on another type of browser to see if that works better.
Okay, and see how it's different now? And I'm going to put my library card in, and hopefully I haven't copied it wrong. Oh.
You got to do 0.
Yeah, I hope
There you
that.
go. And you have to go to the Creative Bug through the Door County Library page, because if you just went to like creativebug.com, it would get a little buggy on you too. Haha. There we go.
Hey, success. All right, so then you put in watercolor. And the next thing is I always go right here and say most popular. All right, so this one, and I've looked at a few, there are quite a few. So as it says, load more. I traveled with a friend who was a watercolor artist, and she kept a journal. So she would paint every place she went. You know, some people journal writing. Well, there is a workshop on how to do that. But the one I'm going to recommend is a very beginner class, and it says beginning watercolor. And I'm going to start the multi-class, which is 2 hours, and I'm not going to watch for 2 hours. I'm just going to show you.
Gao Chang, and I'm a watercolor painter.
I'm going to stop here, and I want to show you something. So underneath here, it says chapters. So click on chapters, and it'll tell you all of the different chapters that are in this. So say, for example, you're saying, oh, I already have all my materials, but what about working with paints? And she's very slow, very deliberate, blending techniques. And then I skip down to painting circles. And then, so you can kind of go through and see, maybe you feel like you're beyond the beginning and you want to go to the second part. But it's a really nice class. You can stop it. You can, I watched it and I felt like I really learned something. So using Creative Bug is a good way. Now she's going to talk about what materials.
and designer. I feel so lucky that I get to do my dream job where I paint and create full time. People are often really intimidated by watercolors and medium, but my approach is very simple. Really, it's just about having fun. This is a great beginner's class because we're going to cover a lot of different things. We'll talk about how to use the medium. We'll talk about different surfaces. We'll cover different techniques such as blending, pulling, and dipping with watercolor. We'll paint basic shapes like circles, triangles, rectangles. In the end, you'll have a basic knowledge of how to play and explore with watercolor.
Oh, I got to stop the video. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay. All right, so we're back after, and again, if you, the first time going through using Creative Bug, if you need some help, give us a call at Egg Harbor Library and we'll show you. But I mean, there's 2 hours worth of classes just in the beginner part. Again, you know, you can watch maybe a 5-minute chapter and practice that technique. And if you haven't come to the library yet, come and pick up some brushes and paints because we purchased them for you to come and pick up. And we have the heavyweight paper, and we also have this lighter weight paper. And I have some scraps that you can take too to practice with. So let's go take a little tour here. How's that? Here we've been playing with our seed catalog. So this is what yours is going to look like. We're going to take your picture that you're going to paint, and so a little bright. Why don't you come a little closer and see if we can? There. So I mean, I'm not. I just did a couple of greens and yellows, and we'll have the broccoli seeds in here. And then what I did was I got some ideas when she was talking about you know, taking little bits and pieces. I took some watercolors that I had and I put them up. I even put her cards up. So we have 12 pictures that have been passed out to you. That's what's going to go here, and then we'll just have our own little gallery of watercolor. And this will change out and have different things. If the standard libraries are only 12, and each of you have the 12. So let's walk over and take a look. And so each of you received a picture that you can watercolor. And again, every picture is perfect. So we'll hang these up on our catalog. You receive 2 types of paper, so you'll have experience with a heavy weight, a more expensive paper, and then this is bamboo, the bamboo paper. So I'm not crazy about the bamboo paper. And this is her Hollyhocks that she painted, and the paper is it's too to me too thin. So this one is a nice weight, and I can't remember, 140 pounds. So this is 140 pounds. And so the more pounds, and I put this through the copier, so that's as much as it will take. When you put your watercolors out, you can keep them out. It's not like you need to clean up. You just let them dry. And then when you're ready to go, you just start again. That is what makes watercolor paint so nice. No cleanup. Hey, so we have lots of paints here for you. You can come and pick up. We have brushes, palettes. If you want to pick up some cards that Kari left, we left some cards for you out here. And so when you get done with your watercolor, just bring it to the library, and we'll hang it up on our seed library. We have books for you to check out. So if you're interested, books are here on watercolors. We have more available too. So why don't we open it up for questions? Jess and I will try to answer the questions. We just have about 5 more minutes. And so if you want to ask a question, if you can unmute yourself, is that what we should do, Jess? Yeah. So unmute yourself. And hey, I see Jody there. Hi, Joan, did you have a question?
Yes, I wonder if you would like us to return the brush and little tray and paints that you included in your kit.
Well, if you would like to keep them, you're welcome to keep them, or you can return them. If you're going to use them, then keep them. How's that?
The second question is,
Sure.
do you have a suggested way of making a donation to the library?
Well, we have a couple of ways.
Yeah.
We have a box in our maker space that you can put a donation in, and you could just mail a donation. We take donations at my desk. Any way you'd like, we'll take it when we use it for programming like this. Thank you so much. Thank you, Joan. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
You gave us the 2 papers. Which one
Yes.
will you be using to go through the printer?
So both went through the printer, and the one that we would like back is the heaviest one.
Okay, that's good. So the lighter paper is more for practice, I assume.
Yes. Yes.
And then do you want us to do a background on it?
Yes, do a background. I tried salt, and then I used a cotton ball. I used what from the creative bug class. She talked about backgrounds. She talked about salts. I think it was her. And using a cotton ball to rub off.
Okay, so we should be creative.
Creative. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Fun.
Yeah. And then we're going to fill these with seeds. We're starting to get our seeds in.
We've got a partnership with the Door County Seed Library. That's who's providing us with the seeds. So
What a great idea.
Yeah. It just our seed catalog needed help. Now it'll be beautiful.
Thanks, Janine.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you so much, everyone, for
can
coming.
we see if there's any on Facebook? Lydia, do you see any questions on Facebook on the video?
No questions on Facebook.
Okay, so when you finish and you want to turn them back to me, I'd appreciate it, and we'll put them on our seed catalog as you finish. Okay.
Okay.
So give me a call if you have any questions, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Having us all.